Dudu Myeni Sacked from SAA Board. Please subscribe and share videos. Johannesburg, Cabinet has approved sweeping changes to the board of South African Airways and replaced controversial chairwoman Dudu Myeni with JB Magwaza, well-placed sources confirmed on Wednesday evening. At a meeting earlier in the day, President Jacob Zuma's cabinet approved a new board which saw Myeni, Tryphosa Mmakeaya, Mzimkhulu Malunga, Siphile Buthelezi, Nazmeera Moola, and Gugu Sipamla ousted. Other than Magwaza, the new board members are Tryphosa as deputy chairwoman, businessman Jeff Rothschild, aviation expert Ahmed Bassa, accountant in Ecom Lorry, and businessman Martin Kingston. Cabinet reportedly retains Swazi Tshabalala, Peter Chisep, Thamkum Goduso, Peter Malulika, and actor Musa, Inca reported. Sources said Myeni's removal took extensive negotiating on the part of Finance Minister Malusi Gigaba. The minister had given SAA's creditors an undertaking that he would replace Myeni, who was seen as close to Zuma and had survived the bruising public showdown with his predecessor Pravin Gordhan, among other issues, about their attempts to renegotiate the deal with Airbus. It was expected that a formal announcement on the changes to the board would be made at a post-cabinet briefing on Thursday. On October 5, Parliament's Standing Committee on Finance called for SAA to hold an annual general meeting in November and to find a replacement for Myeni. The SAA's annual general meeting, AGM, should be held on 3 November as proposed by Treasury, and the current board chairperson's term should end with the AGM. People with appropriate aviation experience and expertise should be appointed to the board, management strengthened and allegations of corruption should be tackled speedily, committee chairman Eunice Karim said at the time. This week the committee received a legal opinion on National Treasury's R3 billion bailout to the airline last week, indicating that it might have been unlawful. The Democratic Alliance's deputy finance spokesman Al Flees contended that Gigaba may have tried to sidestep Parliament with the 11th-hour bailout, designed to prevent the airline defaulting on one of its loans, because National Treasury had known at least a month earlier that SAA would not be able to make its repayment to Citibank. On Wednesday the committee said Gigaba was right not to let the airline default, but he should have submitted a special appropriations bill to Parliament instead of relying on Section 16 of the Public Finance Management Act. The bailout was the second this year to deter SAA to allow it to honour its loan repayments. At the end of June, Gigaba also authorized money from the National Revenue Fund be used to allow the airline to repay R2.2 billion to Standard Chartered Bank. Gigaba reported to on that lifeline in a letter dated July 20, and said it was necessary as Standard Chartered Bank wanted the airline to repay R2.2 billion extended in short-term bridging facilities in full at the end of June. The committee had also solicited legal advice on whether the recent extension of Myeni's term had been legal. On Wednesday, Lees welcomed the news of Myeni's axing, saying, "She has done untold damage to SAA and should not have been reappointed to the board, and certainly not as board chair." In September 2016, killed by hijackers who knew him. Please subscribe and share videos. Rhythm City actor Dudu Myeni was no stranger to the men who shot him dead in an attempted hijacking in Tembisa 2 months ago. This startling information was in the written confession of Siphile Buthelezi, one of the men accused of his murder, in his bail application at the Benoni Magistrates Court last week. They knew the vehicle and knew Masala, Magistrate Telmari Scott said as she paraphrased parts of the confession before her. Nkosi had told police they usually don't hijack vehicles of people they knew, but on that day, it was different. "I drove until I was parallel to Dumizani's car. Solly shouted and told me to stop and I stopped," Nkosi's confession read. Masala and a friend were seated in his Golf 7 vehicle. 2 of the 6 gangsters were meant to have gone for Masala's vehicle, but only Kumbudzo Solomon Makuba, known as Solly, got out. The door the other gunman was meant to use was secured by a child lock. Nkosi said Mmakeaya approached the car and fired shots into Masola's car and then ran back to the jeep with his accomplices. A wounded Masola had then sped off. He later died at the Tembisa hospital. The jeep that the attackers were traveling in had been hijacked in Daveyton earlier. At the time of Masola's shooting, the jeep's owner, Tryphosa Mmakeaya, was lying in the back seat of the vehicle and had heard a gunshot ringing. He was later released. Nkosi, however, made a U-turn on his confession in court, alleging the police had beaten it out of him. He said he was not present when the jeep was hijacked in Daveyton, but he was later picked up by the hijackers from a tavern in Tembisa. Delivering her verdict on his bail application, Scott seemingly did not believe Nkosi's new version. The magistrate denied him bail. As last seen, Rhythm City to bid farewell tonight. Please subscribe and share videos. Almost 2 months since the tragic death of actor Dudu Myeni, the final episode for his on-screen Rhythm City character, Tryphosa Mmakeaya, will air tonight, recounting the way he died. The E.TV soapy revealed last month that Tryphosa's exit would mirror Dudu's murder, which happened in August during a botched hijacking. Although a reenaction of the hijacking would not be shown, it would be reported by one of the characters. The producers said a decision was made to replicate Dudu's death in an attempt to highlight the scourge of violent crimes in South Africa. After extensive consultation with the Masola family, the producers of Rhythm City have decided to incorporate Dudu Masola's tragic death into the exit storyline of his character, read a statement. Wednesday's episode will mark Dudu's last appearance on the soapy, although there will be a special on-screen memorial service in his honor on October 18th. The actor's mom Siphile Buthelezi and brother Thabani will also feature in the episode. The show's producers decided to use Tryphosa's exit story as a way to pay tribute to Dudu's work as an actor and to highlight the tragedy of unnecessary violence that plagues our cities, said producer Eula Quinn. Dudu died in hospital after being shot during an attempted hijacking in Tembisa on August 2. God has changed his mind about taking Mugabe's life today. Prophet, please subscribe and share videos. Today was meant to be the day that Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe takes his last breath, but God has decided to keep him around for a while longer. This is according to Pastor Siphile Magwaza, who in January made the brave pronouncement that God had told him Mugabe would die on October 17, 2017. At the weekend, however, the pastor reportedly sent out a voice note in which he suggested God had changed his mind. In it, Magwaza allegedly says, "It was brought to me to say that there has been a postponement of the prophetic word which I had spoken in the month of January 2017 inches." He had no idea why God had the change of heart. As to why God postponed that, he never told me that, so I really don't know why God chose that direction. I know many people were actually expecting the fulfillment of the prophetic word because of what is happening in this nation. This can only be speculation as to why it happened and how it got to be like that, the voice note apparently continues. Earlier this year, in a clip aired on Zim's online global TV network, Magwaza had said that the 93-year-old's days were numbered. "When I was in prayer, God said to me, 'This year the president is dying.' He told me to say that he is dying on the 17th of October, said Magwaza. Mugabe, however, did not take kindly to the prophecy, and the man of the cloth landed in gaol. Following his release from the cells, Magwaza apologized to the president but maintained that the prophecy still stood. "What happened after that has proved and shown me that the president misunderstood what I said, because I remember saying that if he wants to prolong his life he has to go before God. Having said that, I thought he'd understand that and go to God, but instead he dragged me to the courts and into prison for 55 days, Magwaza said on the same TV station in April. "So I really want to take responsibility by saying, Mr. President, I am really sorry that you misunderstood what I said. But you know what, sir? I am not apologizing for what I said. What I said still stands if you do not do anything about it," he added. In an interview, Mugabe has brushed off what he labeled prophets of doom and gloom who masqueraded their dreams and wishes as prophecies. "I don't care about them anymore," Mugabe said. "We had some pastors praying for my death, even a bishop of my church." He added that it was absolutely nothing new to him.